These stories are starting to get redundant. It's kind of the same old thing. I don't want to confront this person because I don't want to be seen as a jerk. Or I don't want to be seen as the B word. Or I don't want to be seen in this, that, and that light. But at the end of the day, you are uncomfortable. At the end of the day, your body is repulsed by this person. At the end of the day, you are either disgusted, you don't want to be in this situation, and every single fiber of your being is rejecting it right now. But you're willing to stay, you're willing to put up with it, and on top of that, not voice your opinion. It's starting to get
Hello
ridiculous.
and welcome to Kitchen Table Advice. My name is Paula and I am the host of this podcast. This podcast is a place where you can ask for any advice you want. It can be relationship, both platonic or romantic, career advice, or life advice. I wanted to create a space where people could ask questions without fear of rejection. I can't guarantee it'll be good advice, but I can guarantee there'll be no shame on my end. Your name will be anonymous and your identity will always be kept a secret. This is not professional advice, and I am not a licensed therapist or psychologist, and you are under no obligation to take this advice. Just think of this as advice you would get from a close friend on a kitchen table. So, let's begin.
Hello, listeners. We are back, and as usual, we're just diving into the first story of the episode. So, the title of this story is How Do I Establish Boundaries with My Classmate? Okay, so here we go. I'm a 23-year-old woman, and I have 2 classes at university with this peer, a 28-year-old man, and he's in the same major as I am. We sit next to each other in both of my classes, and I have been friendly towards him. However, he has made me uncomfortable on multiple occasions now, and I don't know what to do about it. He divulges very personal information to me. I know that because of social media, it's kind of normal for people to talk about trauma with people they aren't close to, but it makes me uncomfortable. I do my best to be kind and supportive, but I feel like he's imposing an emotional labor on me that is unfair due to how we are only acquaintances. Additionally, he asks me, "Are you okay?" often, and truly I am. I feel like nothing I say indicates that something is wrong because he's asked me if I'm okay even when I haven't said anything yet. I've simply come into class, say hello or good morning, sat down and started reviewing my notes before the class starts. And then he asked me if I'm okay, and I've responded with an enthusiastic yes. It makes me uncomfortable because he asked me this. Our other peers can clearly hear. The room is pretty silent before class starts. I don't want other classmates to overhear and think that I'm acting strange enough for him to feel the need to be concerned. I'm not sure if that makes sense. It's difficult to articulate the way in which it's making me anxious. I feel guilty for not wanting to engage with him in ways he wants me to. It seems like he just wants to be friends, but being friends with him would take a lot of emotional availability. And I am not really looking for that in a friendship right now. Is that too cold? I need advice on how to deal with this situation. I don't want to just stop speaking to him and sit somewhere else because that seems cool and immature. What should I say to him to establish boundaries? Like I said, we're inevitably going to have classes together in the future, given that we're in the same major. So I don't want to be a jerk, but I need to privately confront him about this. Wow. Well, we'll be back with our advice after this break. We are back. And I think it's just as she said, she just needs to confront him about this. And secondly, I don't know if the "are you okay" is meant to initiate something, or maybe it's just kind of like how people ask, "How are you? How are you?" I mean, I don't know if that's the way he's saying it, but I don't know. But I can imagine in a pretty quiet room, someone talking is distracting and it's going to cause people to, focus on that individual. So I get where the anxiety might lie in that situation. But yeah, I mean, my advice is just confront him. He does seem like he's emotionally draining and he's being an emotional vampire on you. So just tell him you're not comfortable having deep conversations with him. this isn't really a question of is it cold. You kind of have you need to advocate for yourself. If you're uncomfortable in a certain situation, either have the strength to confront the person and tell them you're uncomfortable, you don't like this, and you will rather them not continue, or have the strength to leave. You said leaving and sitting with someone else is immature for you. So the next best step is to tell him you're not comfortable. You're not comfortable with him emotionally dumping on you. Maybe don't say emotionally dumping, but it sounds like he's emotionally dumping on you, and he may not have a good outlet for his emotions, and you just seem like the type of person who will listen. There are those people in the world who, I don't know, for some reason people just talk to them and they tell them their life stories. I happen to be one of those people, and it can be really annoying sometimes because it's like you may be in a bad headspace where you don't really want to interact with the world, but people just keep coming to you and they keep talking to you and they keep expecting you, right? Because it is an expectation. They keep expecting you to be this vessel, be this person who is going to listen to their heart, to their life's trouble, and potentially reciprocate that. Because I don't know. I mean, I think it's because they don't have a good outlet to let their emotions out. But relaying such heavy topic on a stranger is also, I don't think that's a healthy way to deal with it, because you as a stranger, you don't really know the full scope of what they're telling you. Even though they're telling you this emotionally draining story, they could be misinterpreting it. You basically, you need both stories. You need two sides of the truth lies in the middle. You know, we've heard it is there's her side, his side, and the truth is usually in the middle. So you need to hear both stories for you to even be able to appropriately give your advice. That is one. And not only that, some people just want validation and attention. So it's a very difficult topic as to why people may divulge intimate intimate events, intimate situations with a complete stranger. But if you don't want to be in that kind of space, tell them you're not comfortable with these type of conversations. You would like to focus on the classroom, or if this is a work, you would like to focus at work, wherever you are. You would like to focus on the task at hand, and they're disrupting you. You have to tell them that, and it doesn't matter if you sound cold or you sound harsh, but it's like you need to preserve yourself. You need to preserve your own emotional well-being. You need to preserve you. You need to think about you. Yeah. So that's my only advice. And if you can't do that, there's always an option of going away. You can sit in another seat if you don't feel like confronting this person. I don't necessarily think it's immature, but for her, she thinks it's immature. I always think if you're in an uncomfortable situation, it's better to always let the person know, because you're just going to be feeling bad over and over again, and you're going to be uncomfortable the whole time. It's not going to make the situation better. So it's better for you to either have the strength to let them know or have the strength to leave the situation and just not interact with them. I think those are the two most viable options. That's better than staying there, putting up with it, and at the end of the day feeling bad, and then you have to send me your stories and I have to give you an advice. I think that's a better option. But yeah, if you're in a similar situation as her, just use one of your two options. Tell them you're uncomfortable and you don't like the trajectory of this conversation, or move to another seat. That's it. That is all. But yeah, I don't really think it matters if you're being a jerk or not, because he's impacting your well-being. And if you've been here long enough, you know I say health is wealth, whether it's physical, mental, or psychological. He is impacting your well-being right now. As much as we have boundaries as to how others should treat us, we also need to have boundaries as to how much crap we are willing to put up with. Because this woman is stuck in this situation where she doesn't really know how to tell this person. Honestly, just pull him. If you're in a similar situation, my advice would be move to another seat if you don't feel like being confrontational, or if you do feel like you can voice your opinion, pull him outside when the class is over and tell him you're not comfortable with that. But other than that, I know I've talked ad nauseum about boundaries, setting up boundaries for your friends, setting up boundaries for your romantic relationships, setting up boundaries for your parents, whoever. But I'm also starting to believe that we need to start setting up boundaries for our own selves. We need to start setting up boundaries as to how much we're willing to put up with, or how much we are willing to let go, to the point that, I don't know, what am I trying to say? We need to set up boundaries for ourselves, basically, and how much our body is willing to take. Because this is the, I don't know if you heard in the last story, but these stories are starting to get redundant. It's kind of the same old thing. I don't want to confront this person because I don't want to be seen as a jerk, or I don't want to be seen as the B word, or I don't want to be seen in this and that light. But at the end of the day, you are uncomfortable. At the end of the day, your body is repulsed by this person. At the end of the day, you are either disgusted, you don't want to be in this situation, and every single fiber of your being is rejecting it right now. But you're willing to stay, you're willing to put up with it, and on top of that, not voice your opinion. It's starting to get ridiculous. But I get it. I get it, ladies. I do. Everything comes back to childhood, which is so freaking annoying. But I get it. But it's like, when are we going to stop this? When are we going to stop putting everybody else before us? That's my question. It's like, she's not comfortable. She's been putting up with this for far too long, to the point that she's writing in. It's a lot. Okay, I think it's safe to say that it's a lot, and sorry, I got distracted. I think it's safe to say that it's a lot, and she needs to confront this guy. If she doesn't want to sit somewhere else, or she doesn't want to sit somewhere else, so that's okay. But it's like, I keep talking into circles. I don't know. I might cut this. I might cut this out, but she needs to tell this guy how she feels. She needs to tell him that she does not want to be used as an emotional dumping ground. It sounds bad, but it's like, sometimes we kind of need to be a little bit harsh to get our point across. We need to start setting our boundaries for ourselves and how much our bodies can take, to the point. Because if we are not willing to respect ourselves, if we're not willing to stand up for ourselves, if we're not willing to voice our opinion, no wonder other people are going to push us around. It all starts with ourselves. If we set our boundaries for ourselves, I would not tolerate this, or I would not allow someone to treat me like this. Not only for other people, but for you yourself. You also not doing those stuff. You also placing yourself in a certain level. I think it really does help break this whole mindset of, I don't want to come off as a jerk, but you're uncomfortable the whole freaking time. Does it really matter if you come off as a jerk? Does it really matter? Is it really going to be the end of the world if you piss this person off that has been making you feel uncomfortable the whole time? It's like, I think just as much as it is important to set up boundaries of how we interact with others, we also need to set up boundaries for ourselves that we are willing to maintain and hold ourselves to that standards. And yeah, that's where I'm going to go with this advice for now. And if you guys are in a similar situation, please let me know what has worked. I know sometimes confronting someone doesn't work, and sometimes you really do have to leave and walk away. But tell me what has worked. Has confrontation worked more for you, or has your absence worked more for you? Sometimes you may confront someone, they don't listen, and you have to answer with your absence. But I know that could be the case. But tell me, which one has worked more? Because I honestly think in this conversation, those are the only two options. And sitting there and just putting up with it is not an option, because it doesn't make you happy. It keeps the situation going on, and you just end up feeling more guilty and more bad about yourself. And you even dread maybe going into class because that person is going to be there, or going to work because that person is there, because you never said anything. But yeah. So that's my take on that. And that's my take on that. And we'll just jump into the second story of the episode. The sun is in my face right now. I don't know how this is going to look, but it's certainly going to be interesting. So We're back, and the title of the second story is My Obnoxious Friend Wants to Join My Friend Circle and I Don't Know What to Do. So, woo. I am a 40-year-old woman and I'm writing about a 35-year-old woman. Let's call her B. She's decent when she isn't drinking, but even with just one beer down, the wild side comes out. Every other word is a vulgar swear that these other women haven't experienced in their group before. The last time B came to a gathering with this group, she created a huge scene and was insulting me. Parentheses, very, very typical as she thinks it's a joke. Another friend of mine pulled me aside and asked if I was okay. She thought I was being attacked, but I assured her B is just messing around because this is just how she is, and I've known B for many years. Now B is actually a good person, but when drinks are involved, she transforms into this completely different human being. She craves attention and must provide her input on all conversations, whether she's part of them or not. I'm not sure what to do. She's going to be moving closer to this group of friends and is really trying very hard to get in on it. Am I supposed to avoid her every time? It's exhausting. Last time we met, every time she approached me, I'd make an excuse to go to a different area of the room. I don't want to stop going to the events because I enjoy the group when she's not there. Any advice? This seems childish, but I'm a straight shooter, and I would never insult someone the way she does, even if it's a joke. Wow. The sun is bright. I do love it though. It makes me glow, but oh my gosh, my vision is blurry. We'll be back with our advice after this break. We are back, and this is basically the same as the previous thing. Lady, you need boundaries. You need boundaries with B, and you need to let her know she is unbearable and she's a completely different person when she drinks. Because I don't know if she's aware of it, and tell her jokes sound funny. Okay. You tell her if she's a good friend, because it seems as though she's only unbearable after she has, a sip of beer or wine or whatever. But other than that, it seems as though she's a really good friend and she's there for you. You need to tell her when she's not intoxicated that put the wine glass down, put the beer down. This is how you are. Better yet, if she doesn't believe you, record her for a day. Record her one time when you guys are at an event and show it to her. If she's a good person, she's really going to take your advice to heart. If she doesn't care, then that's a completely different story. But I think this is one of the few cases that is not completely lost, because she may not know how she acts. So if you don't want to tell her she's unbearable, just record her and how she acts when she's intoxicated. And the next time you see her one-on-one, show her the video. And emphasize that you're not here to embarrass her. You're just here to show her this is how she acts when she's around other people. Does she want to be portrayed in this light? Is this something she's comfortable with? Like, there are ways to go about this, and I don't think this is completely lost cause. But yeah, she needs to know how she is intoxicated. Some people really do not know how they are intoxicated. They think they hold their alcohol well, but they really don't. So if you can, record her, show it to her, or just have it sit down with her and tell her exactly how you feel when she's intoxicated and the joke she makes at your expense. You don't really appreciate that. You value her friendship, you value her input, but you don't like this aspect of the friendship because either she insults you, or she puts you down. She makes you feel bad, basically. And if she's a good friend, she would not want to make her friend feel bad. That's why I keep emphasizing if she's a good friend. Because some people do change when they're intoxicated, but sometimes they actually reveal who they really are on the inside. So make sure you tell her and just be candid and honest about it. You already say you're a straight shooter. You would never insult her if it's a joke. So come at it from a point of my eyes are hurting. Okay. So come at it as a friend trying to help another friend out. This may be something she really doesn't know. So come at it from that angle. You just wanted to let her know this is how it is, and this is how, and these are the stuff that happens when she's out with you after she's had a couple of drinks. This is how she behaves, and all those stuff. But yeah, I don't actually think this is there's the ways to go about it, and I think your friend will listen to you. All right, so I think we have a couple of that second story was really, really short. So we're gonna have a third story for today. We don't usually have third stories. If you listen to last episode, the third story actually saved that episode. Well, for me, I kind of felt like the episode was dry until the third story. And I was like, yeah, this is a good episode. But yeah, so another 3 story episode today. We'll just jump into the third story episode. I hope it's not heavy. All right, listeners, I'm so sorry about that. I had to move. That sun was just in my face and it was blinding me. I love you guys, but not enough to go blind. Anyways, so we're jumping to the third story of the episode. And the title is Am I Leading Him On? And What Can I Do About It? All right, so we just dive in. I have a guy friend who I've known since the 9th grade. We've cultivated a friend group together and we're still really close even though we're in different colleges/careers. This friend, M, has always had a thing for me and has told me multiple times exactly how he feels. This includes begging me to go on a date last year after I broke up with my ex, telling me he waited 4 years and knew how to wait, and sending me flowers this Valentine's Day. I also told M exactly how I feel, which is that I don't find him attractive and don't want to date him. However, he seems to think this just means not now, or instead of not ever, according to a mutual friend. It also makes me uncomfortable that he talks about wanting to date me to our mutual friends, especially when they know exactly how I feel about it. The last few weeks, he has texted me constantly from like 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., which is abnormal and kind of suffocating. My friends, parentheses, that don't know him are telling me I'm leading him on by responding and not putting my foot down about sending me flowers, etc. I feel like I'm just being a friend. I wouldn't like putting space between M and I, but I would need to, although I'm concerned that would affect our group dynamics. Any thoughts? Am I leading him on? Well, we don't have a break, so I'm just going to dive in. I don't think you're leading him on, regardless of what your friends are saying. You've known this guy since 9th grade. Like, 9th grade is around what? 14, 15? And you're 21 right now. That's 6 years. That is a solid friendship. And of course, you don't want to, you told him you're not interested. He just perceived that differently. You just need to have another conversation with him. And it might break his heart. It might break his heart. But I think you do need to have another conversation with him. And I disagree with your other friends saying you're leading him on. If he's the one misinterpreting your words, that's kind of on his part, not yours, because you did tell him that you're not interested in him that type of way. He just thinks it's now instead of not ever. I guess you just have to make it clear that it is not ever. But I can understand. This is a difficult terrain because you were friends. You were friends before, and now you found out he likes you in a romantic sense, and you don't really feel that way about him. I had a similar thing on a different episode about that when it was someone. But yeah, it's just you just need to put your foot down and tell him, and don't be afraid of. This episode might just be, I don't want to look like I'm a jerk. Might as well just title it that. But yeah, and don't be afraid to seem like a jerk or seem like the bad person. Just, I think in cases like this is a very delicate case because you guys were friends before and you may value his friendship a lot. I mean, you do value his friendship a lot, that you've cultivated an entire group dynamics, and even within the group, you guys are still very close. So you're definitely gonna have to have a conversation with him, but I don't think you're leading him on. I think you need to sit down, have a conversation with him, tell him how you appreciate him, you like the time the two of you spend together, you really value his ideas, you like how you're able to be yourself around him, you like how you guys are able to bounce ideas back and forth, and you really value the friendship. Emphasis on the friendship. You really value him as an individual. You like his company, and you like being around him. However, you can only see this as a friendship. You do not have any romantic feelings for him, and it's not just for now, but you do not think those feelings, oh my gosh, how do I say this nicely? Maybe this is why people say I'm a jerk. Just tell him that. Appreciate him as a person, and say that you value his you value his company, you value his ideas, you value his thoughts, you like being around him, and you really value the friendship you have with him. You do not want to jeopardize that friendship because it is very valuable to you, and you're very grateful for him being in your life as a friend. You don't want to jeopardize that friendship, and you do not foresee that friendship ever turning romantically. You like how the friendship is, basically. Okay, make that known that you like the friendship, and you do not perceive it becoming a romantic relationship now or in the future. Just try to sneak that in. But then again, sometimes when you sneak stuff in, it just goes over people's head. So maybe emphasize that part of you not seeing this friendship developing into a romantic relationship in the future, because you value how it is right now. Point out his good qualities. You know how people say when you try to tell people about stuff, you kind of sandwich it. Good stuff, bad stuff, then good stuff. But I say good stuff, and then bad, re-emphasize the bad stuff, because sometimes they miss the bad stuff. Well, it's not really the bad stuff, but it's the actual point you're trying to make. But yeah. So try to say it like that. You value being his friend. You like being his friend. You do not perceive the relationship turning into something other than friendship. He may hate you. He may feel as if you've led him on. As your friend has said, parentheses, if you're listening to this on a podcast, I just made air quotes, because I don't actually think she's leading him on. He may feel as though you've led him on, but he just misread the situation, because you had already told him you don't have a thing for him romantically. He just misread it and took it as, I'll just shoot my shot regardless, and I don't think you should be held accountable for that. But yeah, and I think it's also important for you to tell him you do not appreciate being texted at around from like 6 to 11 p.m. You do not appreciate the constant texting, because that can be really suffocating. I definitely understand what you, oh my gosh. I hate people who text me constantly. So I get that. That can be really annoying. So tell him you don't appreciate the constant texting, and whenever he sends a message, you get to it whenever you're free. I think that's a good boundary to cross with him, that you don't appreciate the constant texting, that if he texts you, you're going to do your best to get back to him as soon as you can, but for him to not just constantly blow up your phone and text you. I'm pretty sure there's a way to say that better, but yeah, there's a way to say don't text me as much as you are better, but yeah. So I'm going to leave that up to you. If you're in a similar situation, you feel as though you're leading someone on, like I said, just emphasize the fact that you like the relationship as it is right now. You value the time, you value the idea, you like what they bring to the table, and you really like the friend dynamic that is happening. And you do not perceive it going further in the future. And you can also, you don't perceive it going any further in the future. You don't perceive the dynamic changing from friendship to something else. You really like them as a friend and emphasize that you like the friendship. But Some people may not take well to it, but I think it is something that you have to say, is something that you need to be clear about. And yes, there are some guys like this guy who may take that as she's saying she doesn't like it now, but if I keep trying and waiting, and that's when you just have to be really clear about it. And is there a chance that the relationship will end? Yes, there is a chance, but in that case, you also have to believe that you're a good enough person, and you have to believe in good karma, that you're a good enough person that you will find another friend who is exactly like this person, if not better, who is going to allow you to just be a friend to them without any romantic emotions attached. So that is it for this episode. I think it was a really good one. And we'll see you next Sunday. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to that episode. And what did you guys think? What did you guys think about the first story about from the woman who feels as though her classmate is emotionally dumping on her? I think he is. Has this ever happened to you? Do you have any way of fixing the situation? I really think her only options are telling him after class or sitting somewhere else. But if you have any other advice, then please drop it in the comment section below. And the second story about the woman with her friend who was intoxicated. I know some people may disagree with me saying record her, but I'm not saying record her to embarrass her, but record her for her to see how she actually acts in public. Obviously, after you've had the conversation with your friend, show it to her, delete the video in front of her so she knows that you're not going to show it somewhere else, and tell her you recorded her because this is how she acts in public. She may not know this is how she is when she's intoxicated. So that's only why I said record her. If you don't have the words to really voice your opinion, it's easier to just show exactly how she behaves and ask her if this is something she's okay with. And the third story, I still don't think she's leading him on. She has voiced that she did not want to be in a relationship. He thought it was for not now, but maybe he still had a shot. I mean, the only thing she can say is, again, she doesn't want to be in a relationship, but I don't think she's leading him on. And yeah. Next week's stories are very interesting. The first story is regarding a woman who feels as though her friend is copying her and basically stealing her identity. The second story is from another woman who is unhappy in her relationship but doesn't know how to quite go about it. And the third story is about a girl who feels as though she was played. She was played while having a connection with this guy, and he just basically ghosted her. So if those stories interest you, then please feel free to come back here next Sunday, and we'll see you then. Bye.